445. The 2026 Joy Sports Invitational Tournament is powered by The Luckiest. Luck is everywhere for everyone. And proudly sponsored by Toyota Ghana, superior quality. Ayuda, Ghana's #1 services app. Abako Services Bibri. Minerals Commission, the regulator of the mining industry in Ghana. Latex Foam, your partner for life. Virtual Security Africa, security for all. And Valex Lease Equip Limited, Copia leasing, renting, and maintenance service.
Presenting the ultimate bragging rights in Vanderbilt School.
It's that time of the year on the academic calendar. The National Science and Maths Quiz is back and bigger than ever. The nation's brightest minds, the sharpest reflexes, and the question that changes everything. For the first time, over 170 schools enter the arena. More schools, more rivalries. Only one school will lift the trophy and claim the bragging rights of Ghana's champion of science and maths. Who has what it takes? Catch the contest on Joy News, Joy Prime, Joy FM, and across all our digital platforms. Date 20th August to 10th September 2026. The 2026 National Science and Maths Quiz.
Everything has meaning, but not everything is as it seems. For every story told, there are versions of the truth.
We can't afford to look at this, the numbers that have been presented, and say, we are tired, it's the same old issue. No, somebody should be prosecuted.
Every opinion can be debated. Every claim can be challenged. Even the idea of the national interest can and must be interrogated.
This is the date it was. This was the date it was printed from the system.
That is what
what is he talking about?
Because sometimes the real facts are buried deep within layers of interpretation. So we ask the harder questions. We test every claim. We raise the standard of public discourse and place every issue on the altar of unbiased scrutiny. This is Newsfile, your most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first.
We stand belief in you. What are you doing? Clearly,
Newsfile with Samson Ladi Anyanini. On Joy News, independent, fearless, and credible. The law affects everything: your job, your home, your rights. But for many, the law feels distant, complicated, full of big words and bigger confusion, legal jargons, constitutional twists, hidden loopholes. And sometimes what seems simple is far more complex than it appears.
Even if he's a tenant, but he conducts himself as if he's the owner, he has automatically stated to you that you are no more the owner.
That's why there is the law, a program designed for you to break it all down, to explain, to clarify.
The ends of justice are that the outcome must be fair, it must be conscionable, it must be equitable, and it must be just.
The law, it's your legal rights. It's your health law. On Joy News, independent, fearless, credible.
ultimate bragging rights. Infantile School!
It's that time of the year on the academic calendar. The National Science and Maths Quiz is back and bigger than ever. The nation's brightest minds, the sharpest reflexes, and the question that changes everything. For the first time, over 170 schools enter the arena. More schools, more rivalries. Only one school will lift the trophy and claim the bragging rights of Ghana's champion of science and maths. Who has what it takes? Catch the contest on Joy News, Joy Prime, Joy FM, and across all our digital platforms. Date 20th August to 10th September 2026. The 2026 National Science and Maths Quiz.
Mandate as well, so that both the EPA, both the president and the government of Ghana will realize that dream of resetting Ghana. So today, we're not just talking about the ban, we're also telling you what else the EPA has been doing. I like to think you know, but today we're just hammering it. So my name is MFA, and again, once again, on behalf of the EPA, Mimama Kwaba, about EPA in Focus. We are live on your television, and you just heard from the Wesley High Band Bekwai. Well, high school Bekwai. Well, yesterday, if you missed out, we weren't just on the streets of the Ashanti region. We also zeroed in Kejetia. That is the heart of Kumasi. And that is where if you entered, and just yesterday when we were ongoing with the event, we saw a woman carrying a really high mountain of styrofoam, the takeaway pack. They are a diwache woman. We have no limits. And yesterday, I saw the bosses look at it and they say, hey, wait, pan, a system. And so without much ado, I hope that you didn't miss yesterday, but if you did, we're kind enough to bring you a wrap of what happened, the float, and as well the conversation inside the KJTR market. Take a look.
Hey, go.
My name is Reverend Gina. I'm the CEO of Gina Films and Industries. I happen to be here to do a registration with Registrar General, and I chanced on EPA clinic activity going on in Ejum and the Registrar General, and with the engagement with the officers here on the grounds, I have been able to go through education on registering my business, because it's a food business, with EPA, and I've gone online with them. They have really taken me through the process, and they have helped me go through the process, and I think it's a laudable experience, and then this project should be going on, to sensitize the public, because we believe that we all have a common responsibility of protecting our environment. We have been doing that on a small scale in our corner, trying to, use the waste that we get from produce processing into compost, and then using spoiled car tires, filling them with these compost and sand to plant vegetables in our factory. And therefore, we are so blessed to get more information about the need to sustain the environment. And we have also been encouraged by what we are doing. And then we have also gotten a further knowledge about the use of cellophane and abstaining from its use due to its pollutant nature. And I believe that as we go home, we are going to also educate people from Takoradi. I came from Takoradi for a trade fair show, and I happened to come to the Registrar General. Then I have an encounter with EPA, and for about 2 hours, it's been education, one after the other, and I've ended up, registering my business on their portal. And therefore, I'm also calling all businesses, both small and big, cottage industries. We need the environmental certificate, we need the education, we need them to come around to check that whatever we are doing, whatever we are putting on shelf, we are bringing to the public, it's safe for human consumption, and we are doing the right thing, to encourage sustainability of the environment. And therefore, we are calling all and sundry that we should back up the activities of these clinics that EPA is engaging in across the nation of Ghana. And Kumasi, Ejum, I happen to be a partaker, and I've enjoyed the section, and I believe that wherever these clinics are taking place, members, clients will take the opportunity, visit them, and then get the information and get involved with the registrations, as I have done today. And if we do that, we believe that Ghana will be a better place for all of us to live. Thank you, and God bless.
Great, go.
Protecting our environment, our collective responsibility.
Yesterday, we were in Kumasi KJT market, for that matter, to launch the second campaign on the ban on polystyrene products after the follow-up from Makola in Accra. And this morning, we are launching, or we are doing one-on-one clinic with 4 centers. We are in the City Mall, we are at Edum, we are in the KJT market and the Registrar General, to have interaction with the public on one-on-one clinic, so that we can understand more about Environmental Protection Authority. The EPA has been Environmental Protection Agency, but with the Act 1124/2025, we are now Environmental Protection Authority, which has given us EPA to have an oversight responsibility over everything that got to do with the environment, and has given us the authority more responsibilities. So we therefore take this opportunity in the clinics, that all the 4 centers, to educate the public, to engage the public on one-on-one, where officers are going around, as you can see, educating people, answering questions.
For being here, as
MFI introduced. EPA does a whole lot. What we did yesterday was just a campaign on the awareness of the ban, styrofoam ban, which we are putting a date, a deadline date of 1st of January. So EPA does a lot more than that, as I said. So today, we're looking at EPA in focus. There are lots we can't cover today, but we'll zoom into as many things as we do as possible. So I'll do a general overview. We're following the President's reset agenda. So at EPA, we are resetting. And so as a Chief Executive Officer, there are a few focus I have maintained in the EPA, and with the support of my able deputies, directors, and all staff, we have come this far in a short time. So there was a need to change, and the question here is why change was necessary. First, the appointing authority needed to be satisfied. There's a reset agenda for the whole country, which EPA is zooming into. So our mandate is to transition from the old legal regime to a broader environmental and climate change mandate. So we have a new law and an act that mandate us to be bigger than we used to be. So it used to be an agency until last year, January 2025, the agency changed to an authority. So we had to meet that authority that we have been transformed to. So that is increasing staff capacity, increasing logistics, infrastructure, and bridging the technical gap that used to constrain the operations of the EPA. We have made changes in our system as well. So we have, as you can see, new offices established. We have established 46 new district offices across the country. We have employed up to 3,000 new staff. We have promoted 444 staff. We have increased our generation of revenue to over 120%. The increase in revenue ties in to also our footprint in the communities, in the undertakings, in the activities that people do. So once we visit and we grant the permit, it means we are increasing our venue. We visit for your non-compliance. If you're not following the rules of protecting the environment, we charge you a penalty. And that will also have impact on our revenue. It makes us grow bigger in terms of revenue. So in terms of logistics, again, we have procured 95 new vehicles and 50 new motorbikes that support our operations and getting us out there. We have introduced a digital platform, which I will talk a little bit more later. But on the platform, in a short time between May and now, as at yesterday, we have processed 14,250 permits. This is just between May and yesterday, May 2026, and then this August yesterday. So we are doing quite a lot in terms of mining as well. We all know the issue, the challenges we have with mining. So before, as an agency at the time, we had permits and processing challenges, which we are addressing or streamlining today. We had limited transparency and oversight. And today, with the online permitting system, we have very good transparency and bigger oversight over mining permits and operations. That also helps us with faster decision making on the mining applications. We having more active reviews of the licenses. We have more people to work on the licenses. We are able to get officers, technical officers to do inspections very often. We have stronger systems that we have deployed, and we have good responses for harmful mining activities. So we have good control over the space. But these are permitted license operations. We also do general monitoring and compliance for all activities. So we have improved upon our inspections. Our compliance monitoring has increased. So some of you might have heard EPA for the first time, because we are out there now. And every day we are out there checking for activities and for compliance and ensuring that the schedule and the conditions we give for our permit, these undertakings or companies or industries are going by them. So I mentioned that we have gone digital on our permitting and other operations. So we used to do manual operations. So when you need EPA permit, you walk to EPA permit, you fill a form manually, and then you submit all other documents. Today, you can go to our online permitting system, clients.epa.gov.gh, and put in your application. It makes application much easier. You can sit in the comfort of your home, in the office, and put in your application on the system. You can upload every document that is needed to support your application on the online permitting system. And this helps reduce the permit period that we use to process, and you're able to receive your permits very early. This also helps proponents to get feedback quickly from the EPA. The finances I gave, and I mentioned it earlier on, so as we increasing our footprints in these communities and other areas, we are also increasing our financial or our revenue. So we are performing well. And last year, we were able to perform well in excess of 20 million, which we submitted or transferred to the consolidated fund, which sits at the Ministry of Finance. We are completely IGF. We generate to fund our operations, and 20 million excess is a lot of work we put in last year. And we are still doing a lot more this year. Thank you. So we have improved our financial capability. With the increased number of staff, we are still able to manage in our operations. EPA is having a very good international outlook now. We have a role to play at the international level. We have signed up to a number of international conventions which we operate or we implement in the country. The new things we have made a lot of progress in is the improvement we've made on the Paris Agreement with our carbon market. So the EPA hosts the carbon market office of the country, and the aim is to cut down carbon dioxide to about 64 million tons or more. And there are lots that we are doing in this space as well. So we have improved also upon our international partnership. We are not only receiving donor fund, but we are doing a lot in becoming partners. So we are doing more competitive partnership than just receiving aid and all of that. Recently, we received an award on our air quality monitoring because we're doing a lot in that space. We have on our website, we project the air quality that we monitor across the country on our website. And this help decision-making on areas where the quality of air is good or the quality of air is not good. So this one, you have witnessed this here in the Ashanti region, the ban on styrofoam, which we are campaigning I would say rigorously, to phase out. And all of us need to be involved with the education. If for nothing at all, if you have a t-shirt, just wear it out for people to read and understand or know that EPA is calling for the ban in January 2027. And this, we all know, was announced by the President of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, in June 2025, during the World Environment Day. So we've gone over 1 year after that announcement, but we hope that January 7th, this will come to full force to phase out the styrofoam. So we're doing, again, the air quality monitoring. I've mentioned it. We're installing more sensors across the country to do more. We have water restoration and rehabilitation projects we are doing. Under our mandate, we're supposed to protect our water bodies, and we know the situation our water bodies are in. We've done pilot activities, testing different technologies, including the popular dechemicalization on our water bodies, and we've been successful with the pilot. There are a lot more activities we're going to have on our water bodies, which include dredging and restoring the banks of the river. So rehabilitation, a comprehensive rehabilitation process is going to start very soon. And so that will have a comprehensive presentation on it by my Deputy CEO for Operations, Professor Yamga. We also have a framework for land restoration and rehabilitation. So like people come to help or support, partner with us to do reclamation of degraded land by the mining areas. And so we support that and provide technical services in that space as well. We are looking at waste management, especially. We have advanced a lot in electronic waste, which is becoming a problem in the country. And so the EPA has an e-waste program, and that's, we have installed collection points at various places in different cities of the country to collect electronic waste that has, if you use your electronic product, it has come to the life end or its end of life, you can drop it in this collection point. Don't just drop it anywhere, but find this collection point that EPA has installed to put it in for safer keeping and recycling. And we are looking at, later to be announced what we are doing about plastics as well. We're working on a legislation that will help us manage our water bottles that we use and single-use plastics and all of that also. So that will come out very soon. All of these have not gone without challenges. And so we have still a lot of challenge that we all witness with illegal mining. Illegal mining means they don't have permits from EPA, or they don't even have concession license from Minerals Commission to operate. And these are difficult people to find or difficult areas to assess, to control under our mandate. And these threaten our water bodies, degrade our land, degrade our forests, farmlands, and even communities. And we're trying to strengthen our monitoring, enforcement, and doing interagency cooperation on that as well. We used to have capacity gap, but now we have improved upon that a lot, and we are investing in the staff capacity, technology, logistics, and also data. We used to have uneven compliance across the country, but now, because of the new offices we have opened in the districts, at the district level, we have deepened decentralization. And so EPA is just at the doorstep of every company or every undertaking that we need to monitor for compliance. So we have improved detection, field presence, and we have improved on our regulatory responsiveness as well. For the companies that emit carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, and other gases into the atmosphere, we are installing sensors that can monitor the quality of air around these areas, and that we'll be able to see it live from our office, from the head office especially. And so we have a continuously monitoring system which we can see live from the activities the companies are doing in their offices. This helps with a very quick responses in our regulation. So this is concluding the EPA we are building. We expect a stronger, more accountable, and more effective environmental protection authority. We're moving digital, we're moving centralized, and a more responsive institution. We want to get to a financial sustainability so we can improve our operational capacity. And we want to be a regulator that is better equipped to protect Ghana's environment and respond to emerging challenges. And we want an institution that is committed to continuous reform, strengthen enforcement, and have measurable results as well. Thank you. This is the brief from EPA.
It's a beautiful weekend. There's a lot to eat, drink, watch, and laugh about until 12 people confirmed dead and more than 38,000 displaced as the search continues for 7 missing persons 24 hours after Monday's downpour. Enter into our gazette. And this is what we get. Yes. My family started looking for better alternatives. Our businesses must be ready for the transition. So, Grandpa, this is important. Yes, little things become big things when everybody does it. We want tomorrow is built by the choices we make today. Effective 1st January 2027, the Environmental Protection Authority, EPA, bans all expanded polystyrene products, including W packs and bowls, styrofoam ceiling tiles, mattresses, styrofoam insulation bars, styrofoam packaging blocks, and bubble wraps. The EPA recommends better alternatives of based packaging, biodegradable leaf packaging, ceramic plates, and reusable containers. Responsibility. That's what I think I will back. This campaign is powered by EPA.
Well, so if you love the EPA and everything that is doing, you surely will like to clap for them, would you not? And be kind. You should post this advert on your WhatsApp status. Not every day what you're eating. Do something for Ghana. Be kind. So the commercial is nice. So post it, Snap, TikTok, anywhere, so that the message will go far. I like me, a CEO of a government institution that is very responsive. As a journalist, when I have questions, I like to ask those who have been given the mandate. One of the things that the CEO for the EPA loves to do definitely is when we have questions as a media house and we call her, she never fails. And it looks to me as though we have a more robust EPA quite recently. I think once again we can clap for the EPA. Another terminology that is quite common and synonymous to and with the EPA is permit. So we definitely brought the acting deputy CEO in charge of technical services, Esinekwe Tete, to come and explain better what the EPA does in terms of permits requirements, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much. As you mentioned, permitting is at the core of the work we do at EPA because we use permitting to ensure sustainable management of the environment. So I'm going to talk about permitting and how we go about it. And so I'll define permits so we all have clarity on what permits are. Then I'll give the legal framework within which we issue the permit, how you can apply for a permit, and then key features of the permit that you need to be aware of, and what to do after obtaining the permit. So let's go to what is an environmental permit. I would like to define it. It's an authorization issued by the EPA that grants a person, company, or organization permission to conduct activities or operations that have the potential to impact on the environment. When a permit is issued, it is done because the EPA has looked at an existing or proposed project and has ensured that it has gone through an environmental assessment, and therefore at the end of it, we can proceed to issue the permit subject to specific conditions. Let me say that EPA uses environmental assessment as a regulatory tool to be able to evaluate the potential impacts of a project or undertaking and be able to take decisive decision that the permit we are issuing, the proponent has put in the right mitigation measures. So the purpose of the environmental assessment is to identify the environmental and social risks that is posed by a project, whether at the initial stage or the operational phase, to also ensure that we prevent or minimize environmental harm, protect the public health, and establish the necessary mitigation, preventive, and control measures to ensure that the project coexists with the baseline of our country. And then we also ensure the conservation and sustainable use of natural resources. And ultimately, the aim of permitting is to promote sustainable development by ensuring that projects are planned and implemented in a way that balances economic development with environmental protection and social well-being. So I think that clearly tells us what an environmental permit is and why we use environmental permit for environmental management. So the legal framework for environmental permits, as you may be aware, in January 2025, the Environmental Protection Act was enacted, the Act 1124. It has established the Environmental Protection Authority. It provides the regulatory framework under which we manage our environment in Ghana, and it also covers environmental assessment, permitting, and enforcement actions. Beyond the Environmental Protection Act, the authority, working together with the ministry and parliament, also ensure the passage of the Environmental Protection Environmental Assessment Regulations 2025, LI 2504. I believe that those of our proponents here are aware that until 2025, mid-2025, we're using the LI 1652 for environmental management. But in the coming into force of the LI 2504, it repealed the LI 1652. The LI 2504 provides the necessary legal backing for environmental assessment and permitting in Ghana. It gives a stepwise approach to the granting of environmental permits during the life cycle of a project, from pre-construction through construction, operation, and the decommissioning phases. It provides the procedures to follow when proponents are aggrieved, and it outlines offenses and penalties for non-compliance. So which projects require an environmental permit? I think everybody wants to know the project that requires an environmental permit. If you refer to Regulation 3 of the LI 2504, it gives 4 categories of projects that require permits. First, projects or undertakings specified in the first schedule. When you look at the first schedule of the LI, it specifies 10 sectors and 155 subsectors, including agriculture, health, energy, petroleum, transport, mining and minerals. We have manufacturing, infrastructure development, among others. The other category of projects that require a permit is projects that is to be located near or in an environmentally sensitive area. It's also in Schedule 2 of the LI. Then projects that generate carbon credit for internal transfer. Or for D, projects which in the opinion of the authority, and I want us to note this, in the opinion of the authority, has or is likely to have adverse effects on the environment, public health, or public safety. The law says that all these categories of projects shall not commence unless prior to the commencement, that person has registered the undertaking or project with the authority, and the authority has issued an environmental permit in respect of the undertaking. So it means that you can't start your project, do construction, start operations, and then come to EPA to regularize. No. So if you do something like that, the Regulation 3.2 says a person who contravenes sub-regulation 1 shall pay to the authority an administrative penalty of 3 times the fee of the environmental permit. So if you commence an operation before coming to EPA, note that you will pay a penalty. If you commence, even if you start the construction before coming, you have to obtain the permit before you start. So how do you go about applying for a permit? My CEO mentioned not too long ago that we have transitioned from a manual system to a digital system. So we have what we call the Integrated Permit and Management System portal. And so you have to go on the portal and register as an individual or organization. Then you can start the permitting process. To do that, the regulations 5 of the LI 2504. So I want you to know that the permitting process, it has legal backing and we use the law. So that requires that you supply information into the system. And the information should include environmental, economic, social, cultural, public health, and safety impacts of the project. And then after you have told us both the positive, and when we talk about these impacts, we are not looking at only the negative. We want you to tell us both the positive and the negative. And then tell us a clear commitment to mitigate the negative impacts identified. And a clear commitment to avoid. We believe in avoiding the impacts if it can be. If you cannot avoid it, then put in the measures to address adverse environmental and social impacts. And then also define alternatives to the development of the undertaking. So for example, looking at this auditorium is an event center. It means that if you want to start this process, you need to tell us the alternative locations that you could have cited this. If you are using equipment, alternative equipment that you could have used so that we can use that to take a decision. For some undertakings, you're required to provide additional information. That includes a reclamation plan, a decommissioning plan, and a closure plan. Normally for mining undertakings, you are required to submit a reclamation plan. And then note that for all our permits, you have to pay processing and permit fees. And it's in accordance with the Fees and Charges Miscellaneous Provisions Act 2022, Act 1080. So I want to walk you briefly through the permitting process. So I mentioned that you have to register on the IPMS and apply. So when you apply, EPA receives the application, requires you to pay some processing fee. And then we carry out what we call screening. Screening is a process to identify the significant impacts of the project and to be able to tell the level of assessment that you require. And after screening, we come up with a screening report. And the report have 3 outcomes. The first one could be the project is approved, go ahead. The second could be we refuse the project, you cannot go ahead. The third would be that you need to do further assessments. So when we decide that the initial assessment is enough, we go ahead, you pay the permit fees, and then we register and then issue the permit. For the other ones that you need further assessment, it could be that we are asking that you submit a preliminary environmental report or an environmental impact assessment or an environmental management framework or an environmental management plan or even a strategic environmental assessment report. And you have to ensure that you follow the guidelines given to you in the preparation of these reports. When we receive the report from you, we would take it through a technical review. The outcome could be issue the permit, you pay the necessary permit fees, and then the permit is issued. It could also be that at this stage we still refuse the project, and therefore it cannot take place at the site you have demarcated. Then when we issue the permit, note that the work doesn't end there, it actually starts there. So you have to ensure that based on the permit conditions, you do your construction and operations in accordance with the permit conditions and your own environmental assessment report that you submitted to us. And then proponent is required to monitor and report. EPA inspects also monitors and reports. And then the cycle continues because our permits have a duration of 24 months. So within 24 months, the proponent will have to submit another application for a report. Briefly, I want to talk about screening. I mentioned that in screening, we come up with 3 outcomes: approve, refuse, or conduct further assessment. But we have considerations that we take in place to ensure we do that. So we look at a number of issues. Where is the project going to be located? What is the type of undertaking? For example, the assessment you subject a clinic to will not be the same as the assessment you subject a teaching hospital to. They'll be different. The assessment for a guest house will not be the same as that of a 5-star hotel. Assessment for a mining company will not be the same as that of a hotel. So that is one key thing. Is the project going to be located in an environmentally sensitive area? What technology are you intending to use? For example, if you have a plant that you have a boiler and you are using natural gas, the impacts will not be the same as you are using maybe diesel or petrol. And then the size and capacity of the undertaking, would it cause any changes to biodiversity? Would it have pollution impacts? What are the potential cumulative impacts? And are there concerns from the public or adjoining land users? So we take into consideration all this to be able to make a decision whether to approve, refuse, or request you to submit further information. Then let's also note that there's a period for determination of an application. For the initial one that we approve, 14 days, 14 working days. That's as long as the report is with us. For PE is 25 days, and for the environmental impact assessment, 60 days. And the time period excludes undertakings that require public hearing. So what are the key features of the permits? So you have gone through the process, EPA has issued the permits. What are the key features? One, you should know that all the work we do, as I have gone through, you've seen that we do it in line with the LI 2504. That is key. And then you should note that you should acquire the permit before you commence the undertaking. I mentioned that Regulation 3.2 states that if you contravene that, you pay a penalty. And then during operational phase, you should always have a valid permit. Our permits are 24 months, so you should always ensure you have a valid permit. And then if you want to expand, for example, if this event center wants to expand, they need to get in touch with EPA to ask whether they would need an additional permit. And then for all decommissioning, you need a permit from EPA. And then the permits I've mentioned over and over that is for 24 months. Then when you get the permit, there are 2 parts of the permit. You have the certificate that is given to you and the schedule with conditions. The most important part is the schedule that is given to you, and you have to look at it. The permit and schedule are invalid without the EPA seal and the signature of the CEO. So what do you do after obtaining an environmental permit? Well, I mentioned that the work is not done when you get a permit. The work starts when you get a permit. One, with our digital system, you have to go on the system and print the permits. And then please read and understand the permit schedule. If you have any concerns or you don't understand any part, go to any EPA office near you to get them to explain the details of the schedule to you. Ensure that you comply with all the conditions in the permit schedule and the commitment in your environmental assessment report. You have told us you are going to do things in a particular way. Please keep to that. And then ensure you comply with the project specifications. Permits are not transferable. They are location specific. So for example, you can't get a permit for this auditorium and decide that you are not building it here, you are going to another place. We were able to give you the permit based on the assessment you did for this location. And so keep to the project specifications and ensure that all the preventive control and mitigation measures you have indicated, you comply with them. Comply with the environmental quality standards and regulations. Also comply with the monitoring and reporting requirements. For all our permits, we require you to do some monitoring. Some are required to do real time. The CEO mentioned that we are moving towards requesting companies to do real time monitoring. Some you'll be required to monitor weekly, monthly, quarterly, and submit reports. So keep to that. And then prepare and submit annual environmental reports as required by Regulation 38 by the end of each year. And then prepare and submit either environmental management report or environmental management plan or any other report indicated in your permit schedule as what you require to renew your permit. And then you also have to comply with the validity period of the permit in accordance with Regulation 30. Construction phase, the permit is for 24 months. Operational phase, 24 months. Decommissioning or closure phase, 24 months. And then ensure that an application for renewal of your permit is submitted 3 months before the permit expires. So we know that within 3 months, we'll be able to renew your permit. So ensure that you submit 3 months before and notify the EPA of any serious environmental incidents or major changes to the project. Then note that the EPA may suspend or revoke an environmental permit if the proponent breaches conditions indicated in Regulation 35 and 36. On that note, I want to say that protecting the environment is our collective responsibility, and all of us should support the EPA to protect the environment for posterity. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. We just went to class. We're back. Another round of applause for Madame AC Nekwe Tete. She's Deputy CEO in charge of technical services. So as a country, even a child will know that when we talk about our water bodies, it's quite emotional for us. We're going to be inviting Professor Michael Ayamga. He's in charge of operations, his Deputy CEO, to tell us how the EPA intends to rehabilitate and restore our water bodies. Prof, thank you so much. Be kind with the applause.
Thank you. It's very difficult to come after two eloquent ladies, but I will do my best. And thank you, people, for the good music. Most of the time we receive a lot of requests, and it's the issue I have been inundated most by anytime I get to the office. We want to dredge, we want to dredge, we want to dredge. So today, we want to deal with it. And I don't also post on social media because anytime I do, they go and write under it, the $200,000 you went and threw at Birim River. What did you get out of it? We have a problem in Ghana, and the problem has basically been the issue of our rivers, that over 60% of our river bodies have been severely degraded. The rivers have been destroyed, and we have spent significant amount of resources in trying to improve our water supply. So that we have the problem. We have been trying to assess the technology to see the options available for our water cleaning. That we have done. We have established and proved the concept of ionic nanocopper. We have tried magnetic water remediation, and that is also there. The third issue is the rivers. We did a study and realized that our river bodies are severely damaged, as I indicated. So even to clean them, you have to restore the rivers first. To put it in context, at some places, the riverbed is completely silted, and you have an expanse of about 2 kilometers wide. So you can imagine what happens if there's severe flooding. So these things necessitated the need for us to put together a framework that will allow us to guide and regulate a river restoration system. Note that I haven't used dredging, I've said river restoration. So at the EPA, we want to do this. And why does this matter? Because mercury cyanide threatens public health, and because of illegal mining, we have this all over our water bodies. The riverbed situation, I've already indicated, severely destroyed. Ecosystems have been damaged and they need restoration. Government funding alone cannot allow for effective and large-scale restoration, so we need to explore other alternatives. And then sediments too may allow for some incidental recoveries. So that is an opportunity to seek for partnership for self-funding initiatives. And also the possibilities of carbon capture is also something that we are trying to use to for want of a better word, bait investors to come into the rehabilitation with the promise of reaping carbon credits and also these incidental recoveries. Why do we need a framework? We need a framework because of the pressures of the degradation. I don't need to add that. Most importantly is the implementation gap. That the process of dredging or cleaning itself can cause some secondary degradation. And if it is not properly monitored and implemented, we could have another problem created if sediments are not well managed, if the pollutants in the sediments, the heavy metals and the rest are not well treated before disposal, we could have secondary environmental damages. And as a result, we need to take the restoration processes seriously and monitor them. What is EPA's role? We provide a regulatory framework, undertake the technical and supervisory leadership, and to ensure that the technologies are tested, validated, and we put in safeguards to ensure that they don't cause damage. So we have a process of studying the pollution pressure, assessing the technological responses that are open to us. Then we put in the safeguards, and then to ensure that in the process of the restoration, whatever incidental recoveries we have and whatever carbon credits we generate, all these are verified and disposed through official channels. I wouldn't say much. We have very novel objectives. Most important of them is to restore water quality. I normally go to disturb my boss in lunchtime. I just go and I'm on her case. And she says that, do you know we actually promised to clean the rivers and we have to do it? And anytime she says that, you look at the challenge, it's a serious one. But we have stepped up to the plate, and in the near future, you see some activity. So we want to also rehabilitate the river banks. This is the most important thing people overlook. Every day people come to my office. We want to go and clean the rivers, and we have 50 excavators. But as I indicated, the riverbeds, in some places you won't find them. You just have a huge expanse of land lying down. You don't even know the river channel. So we think that we have to first rehabilitate the riverbeds, ensure that the buffers are restored, and then we can move on with what we normally call desilting and people call dredging. So we have about 6 novel objectives. We want to ensure that there's environmental integrity going forward. So we want to ensure there's improvement in water, habitat quality, and creating secondary issues of secondary pollutions are well dealt with. We also want to ensure that every decision we make about river rehabilitation is science-based. So it's not a mechanical process. It's not about having an excavator, but we are going to look at the science behind what you are going to do in the river. So any proposal we get, we take it through these steps. What are the options? We look at the polluter pays cost recovery mechanisms, but in most cases, the damage is caused by illegal miners, elusive as they are. You won't even know where they are, let alone to charge them for the pollution they cause. So the polluter pays principle here, its application is severely hampered. We also want to approach the issue with caution. So we don't rush the technologies. We have to test them, prove them, validate them before we roll them out there. So we ourselves do a lot of pilots, and when we prove these technologies, we can recommend them going forward. The communities must be protected. The riverbeds are not only means of transport, they are life forms. They support livelihoods of communities, and we have to ensure that every rehabilitation venture safeguards the interests of the communities. And of course, transparency. We want to ensure that everything is clear. Whatever you go in there, you find, we want to know, we'll declare it to government. it's not those days where you just come and you go in and nobody follows you, and you are there with a few tractors and excavators doing all you want. This time we'll have an eye on you all the way, approving everything you do throughout and ensuring that you don't create another problem. For want of time, I will skip some of these slides so that we can have another time. What is the role of the EPA here? We, much as providing the technical leadership and also monitoring, we also want to at least lead the stakeholder coordination to ensure that every stakeholder that is important in our river and water systems is adequately engaged and brought on board to ensure that we have a comprehensive approach. So the EPA will be working with the Water Resources Commission, the Ghana Water Company that eventually takes all this water and treat for us, the MMDAs, traditional authorities, scientific and industrial research, water research institute, so many other research institutions. And of course, we are bringing the goal board here deliberately because we said what? Transparency. We are going to move away from that culture where people just go in and say they are doing recovery, they are doing land reclamation, and you don't know what is going on. If they make incidental recoveries, we'll ask them to liaise with the goal board and ensure that these are adequately declared and the appropriate valuation applied. Later on, we decide what happens. Restoration and rehabilitation. What is the process? So first, we have to do the site identification and screening, and then we'll do a baseline. The baseline may involve testing the initial levels of the pollution in the sediments and include heavy metals, mercury, lead, arsenic, and so on. So we do a baseline. Then we select an appropriate technology based on our pilots, and then we do full implementation or we scale up. And throughout the process, there'll be monitoring and evaluation. If we find out that you are going out of line, we'll come in and then kick you out of that place, and we are happy to do that. I just want you to see this slide, a very important slide. Unfortunately, we have it's gone off. Let's go. Okay. So you see the two methods that we are talking of. We have the mechanical process where you just have an excavator scooping the this out. We are more filtered towards a hydraulic process where we can treat the sediments and decide where we put the sediments. And because of the environmental benefits associated with this, it is very expensive, extremely capital intensive. But as we indicated, we are hoping that options for carbon capture and also incidental recoveries can be significant incentive for investors to put in their resources and acquire this technology and this make this investment to do the recoveries. In the next few weeks, our own pilot will bring something like this for you to see. So Ghanaians will soon see some of this in the river bodies, trying to do the testing of the technology. Once we are certain of the methods and the processes, we'll start the upscaling processes. So all those who have been talking about dredging, the days of excavator and tractor are over. I'll move to the last slide because they say I have about a few minutes left. So let's look at the expected outcomes. We are hoping that from what you see up there, by the time we are done with our rehabilitation, we should have something like this. So the process should involve redefining the rivers and rehabilitating them, reinforcing the banks to ensure that the river's integrity are restored, and then we also work towards productive rehabilitation of the riverbeds. So The buffers will be planted with, of course, economic trees and so on. And this is where maybe we regenerate livelihood for the communities. I must add that the process also involves cleaning. So we'll clean the sediments and remove mercury particularly, so that we at least reduce pollution in the process. And this looks beautiful, and that is what the EPA wants to project to Ghanaians, that any system of rehabilitation that is not tied to producing something like this in the future, we will not support it. So that is by way of what we'll be doing going forward. I don't have time, so I would stop here and hope to get time to engage with the media more. Thank you very much.
Well, Prof, you have just booked an interview with us. I have more questions. Thank you so much. As a young girl who was just born in Latte, following my grandmother to the farm, I definitely envisage a Ghana with that amount of greens. And so thank you so much. That interview would come and we'll ask more questions. Ladies and gentlemen, if you just joined us, this is the EPA in Focus. We're live on Joy News. We're live on TV3, GTV, UTV, GH1, Wazer TV, TVXYZ, and as well Fache TV. Also, my sister queens have just put together a story, a fictional story, by the way, to drum home the message by the EPA. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the Ghana's most beautiful queens to at least bring us that story, that play, that will drum home, that will even take the message a little higher. Over here, we don't sell their plots. They are for free.
Watch it run on my back. Hey. Watch it, watch it. Oh, you're watching that they were light to light. Not so good in you. Customer. Hey, customer. Say, what are they? Come on, watch out, Tadia watching 5 CDs. Sa, mama. Okay. Asa. She, only way boy. The was zim papa. The was dine. A 3 city ubeto. A 3 city ubeto. Yeah, hello. Oh, customer, welcome.
Thank you. My name is Officer Perpetual Opelabi.
Officer Bain.
From EPA. That's my tag.
Okay.
That's my 4th time coming here.
Really?
Yes.
Hey.
So I charged you for without environmental permit. I gave you an invoice and up until now, you have not paid. Officer,
I beg you.
Action.
Officer, I beg you.
Close the shop.
Hey,
so I told you that this shop, a shop of this capacity, you need an environmental permit.
Hey,
Officer, action.
Close my shop. Hajia, close my shop. Why? I don't know for them. These people, I told you. They are not correct. One. You know what? If I'm you, I'll not sit on it. Okay. Let's go to Ahimfie. Let's go. Let's summon them. Let's go. So we'll see Shege today. What do you mean? Today is today. Try. These people will just come and close people. Do you know how much I invested in the business? The shop I bought. They don't know. They say from where? PPO say, EPO say what? I don't even know. Oh, he will speak for us. It's true. Really need to know. It's true. It's true. I don't know what to do. Oh, please, my shop. Oh, they closed my shop. I don't know what to do again.
Muni wano ye kate dodo ahanye ding. Nana, abo ba Davidi ni na ne say. Mami office yi, ene papa office yi. Aba betu ni store mu ewie yi.
Chiame. Bisa me roba fefe yi say. Wo free hen. Na die benti ena watu Davi esuto onim.
Nana sie no. Mami officer, me pa choton den anase he na ufire. Nana eni diemo ni chiao. Nana me pacho me fi EPA Environmental Protection Authority. Nana, the only thing we do is, or that's not the only thing, what we do is to protect the environment. Nana enunti ena me koye mami ya ojina hwe makone ho empenena. I've been there 4 times. Mama ni invoice obia workshop undertaking bibia oye ewo Ghana hano. Ohia permit enunti ina me call ne ho say only permit na me go through process no say onya permit no nana we nya permit no enunti ina mato ne shop nim no yo nana sana mami officer e chire o chire say Davi atomra
o chiame manento mami officer say me see obo bibi say EPA na permit no eno nko na mo ya ana bibi foforo eka mami hunu
nana EPA
na mami e betwa odwan ahemfie na waba no nana say EPA no permit ne pe na mo ya na mo bibi fo kakam kasa
nana EPA no ye juma ne doso pa na your core objective no ye regulate, ye protect, ye coordinate, and ye exercise oversight on all matters relating to climate change and the environment. Nana, ye will be a function, the function of the EPA endorse send a car no permits ye issue permits, and a mass certificate, and a mass license. Bibia, we also give information about the environment and then publicity. Nana, nema be brain ye. Emrenti kakaya making and no and EPA medasi.
Yeah, nana sana wabaya see on pechete be a fire environment be a sure monsa. Nana chiame. Mami.
Nana.
Officer kokoi. Waba also toho.
When she came, she said, digital, so what, no. Me, I didn't go to school, so I don't know what to do. I say, come to the office, and a computer, and a digital. Me, I don't understand.
Mami officer, nana bisa Davi say, Oban Juana, no si ampa, Oban ho, now so they're now okay cano, Nayana Sumunya, a dear now Ubekafa. Nana, from the beginning, I said that I've been there several times, at least 4 times. And time I call, second time I call hono. Not still na your old system, no, that was the manual. Nana, if you hono, ya called digital, or say on call school, and I may say Umbra EPA, the area or EPA office or ho, to me say on call front dexa, ye baby beer, Edam. Nana, your function, super, also I can't want to say, ye exercise enforcement. What I say, enforcement, compliance. This is one compliant. Yeah, and say, "O store no, ye be closey." And unti na me call ko closey nana wasum.
And nana wasumwa. Nana chiame. Nanse me te se sa EPA fui. Wo mo ne na masafo. Na wo mo kase. Take away bo no ye nyai. Na ameliye ya wagina hwe. Wa achewure. Sane yonko ne Davi way. Now watch your board and didn't take away bono, but who so what be a yajuma. So who got Teddy and Wamaubi? And Tibisa, EPA, my men say, and also so a dear son no more walk of now, Mammy EPA, son and Anasiano, or so what to say. Moi EPA for ye, what the one sa up to styrofoam product here, been take away parky. Now in such a mobile and a woman.
Nana, no crack. Na last year, it's a ban no na ye can was no crepa, and it follows the government policy announcement by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama last year. Say
bibia efa polystyrene products no yemba ne ewo Ghana ha na EPA na ye institutional ebe execute this mandate eno nti na ye nam gom na ye bode rule say the ban has to take effect from next year. Nana nyoma ni bia ye ban ye fe bibi the scope of the ban. Nana enye take away ni nkwa bibi biara ye this polystyrene product eye no ye say ya ban e okrom wanti take away ye was sealing e fe ni TNJ bi wo hwa ye the polystyrene products na ye dia ye wo mattress ye wo nyoma bebre so wo goto products na she say polystyrene products na enim aha na wato nana enye no nkwa take away ni nso ka ho fitana hajia muni ede to wade no eno nso ka ho
na che say the ekura office yi na mu de si anan ana
pepe your friend alternative yes say nia obe use no e was say eye biodegradable e was say enane go asase ne so nana take away no yes say obetimi use paper one obetimi we ye de be spoon ye de be cup ye de be plates ye de be tray ye de enoma bebre afen so TNJ no ye wo bia ye fa polystyrene products enye ye say to no mattress no make sure say enye polystyrene na ye dia ye say to no ene ne keke bubble wrap so koto TV ene fridge a wo hwade fita na e wo ho no eno so ye say mento sa nyoma nya ya ba ne e wo Ghana ha afen so na mi ntwa wa no ye say this polystyrene products no and naningu assassini sunti eya say you use na ya to atu bebia keke eba ne sa na no na choki ye gatesi na say ya nsuo toy wo say na ejiri ye Ghana eno na ye pa na nana manuesi
yo nana we dey asempa na che say EPA for nde yampo modeni asiti na ebe ko yie no enhu na ehia omo mami officer akasa nana osumwa Nana chiame. Na chese mitie mami EPA. Na chese styrofoam products no krasa asempe. Na me mindful nepe. There be. A free ene day ekro. Me boy EPA for abaso. Se o no ahuni die ene yen apomuden ehu ehia wo mo. A free ne day ekro. Chiame manento me mindful say styrofoam product bia wo mo ede beba ekromu hanom no maami ipe mebo wa manie na wachi wo mo tiame nana manento aban police ni ya wagina we ya wo hye sepese black sano ka kire ne say amalia yi wani da avi we di emra wo bia no onfanto no na wo betan so atwedwan e wa ahemfie ha nana wakasa Nana oko nana tutu tata adwe bleu.
Let's say no to styrofoam products. Protecting the environment,
our collective responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you. Omakayo, we did court in just a woody beam. Just a wakuchi jain. Kafrawati. Well, ladies and gentlemen, watching Zuwendi will take away park one day. Well, we're just going to have a panel discussion. Well, did I hear the applause for my sister queens? The message is well delivered. This is how from 1st of January 2027, the enforcement is going to be very, very strict. If you've got any wache or beans, gobe, jollof, anything to eat, you might as well just eat it all by 31st. Because 1st January, we're going to be strict. The EPA is going to be strict on the enforcement of this directive. Let's have a panel discussion, but this will be right after this message.
It's a beautiful weekend. There's a lot to eat, drink, watch, and laugh about until
12 people confirmed dead and more than 38,000 displaced as the search continues for 7 missing persons 24 hours after Monday's downpour.
My family, my sisters, my church members, they are there. Please, we need your help.
The Baptist rescue team. Please, we need the rescue team.
I've seen
madam for ne ba we 1 week akola o muni na ewu.
Jesus. We should shame me.
All my things are gone.
Ago. Hey, what's happening? Do you know something? These things, when we throw them anywhere, they don't just disappear. They enter into our gutters, and this is what we get.
Truth is, my brother, at my factory, we started looking for better alternatives. It will not happen overnight. But businesses must be ready for the transition.
So, Grandpa, this little thing.
Yes, little things become big things when everybody does them.
The Ghana we want tomorrow is built by the choices we make today. Effective 1st January 2027, the Environmental Protection Authority, EPA, banned all expanded polystyrene products, including styrofoam takeaway packs and bowls, styrofoam ceiling tiles, styrofoam mattresses, styrofoam insulation bats, styrofoam packaging blocks, and bubble wraps. The EPA recommends better alternatives of food packaging like paper-based packaging, biodegradable leaf packaging, ceramic plates, and reusable containers. Protecting the environment, our collective responsibility.
The special ingredient was never the takeaway pack.
This campaign is powered by EPA.
The bragging rights of Ghana.
Presenting the ultimate bragging rights in Vanderbilt School.
It's that time of the year on the academic calendar. The National Science and Maths Quiz is back and bigger than ever. The nation's brightest minds, the sharpest reflexes, and the question that changes everything. For the first time, over 170 schools enter the arena. More schools, more rivalries. Only one school will lift the trophy and claim the bragging rights of Ghana's champion of science and maths. Who has what it takes? Catch the contest on Joy News, Joy Prime, Joy FM, and across all our digital platforms. Date 20th August to 10th September 2026. The 2026 National Science and Maths Quiz.
Everything has meaning, but not everything is as it seems. For every story told, there are versions of the truth.
We can't afford to look at this, the numbers that have been presented, and say, we are tired, it's the same old issue. No, somebody should be prosecuted.
Every opinion can be debated. Every claim can be challenged. Even the idea of the national interest.
Sando, Director Mining, and I've got Hope Smith Lomote, Director Human Settlement EPA, and I've got Veronica Emisa, of course, Director Legal at the EPA. Real pleasure to have you join me upstage here to even situate the conversation a lot better for our viewers at home and those who are here in the auditorium. For Letitia, I'd like to understand the alternatives and innovations. Well, because when we hear of alternatives, it's only been when we start talking about the polystyrenes. And so today, it seems to me as though the EPA has a wider mandate when they say that what is, when they talk about alternatives and innovations. What really are the alternatives, the innovations, and how can businesses also and communities also embrace clearer technologies?
Thank you very much, MFA, and good evening to all our guests here. When we talk about alternatives, we are talking about the products, processes, services that mimic nature, that are recyclable, that over their life cycle, when you produce, are safe. When you are using them, they are safe, they do not generate waste, and even at end of life, they can be managed in an environmentally sustainable manner. And so when you are talking about alternatives, you are even looking at your starting material. If we put styrofoam in focus, we are looking at what is the raw material that is used to produce styrofoam. Styrofoam is styrene, made from styrene polymer. And that styrene polymer cannot be sustainably managed even at end of life. When you are using it, it even produces toxic substances that also affect our health. Then at the end of life, it generates waste that creates environmental management issues for us. The recent floods are in focus. There was so much plastic, there was so much polystyrene. So they pose an environmental problem, they pose a health problem. And then they are not sustainable, they cannot be recycled. So when we talk about sustainability, that is what we are looking at. So we are looking at what can we substitute the starting material with. And for us in Ghana, there are so many alternatives that we produce in volumes. We have coconut fiber, we have bagasse, that is sugarcane waste, we have paper, we have our leaves. And then our elders say, Sankofa yenchi. Is that not so? What were we doing before these products came in? What were we doing? We were using our bowls. We have glass bowls. We took our basket and our bowls to buy our food. Can we go back to what it used to be? We already do it. Our kafa agidi, we wrap it in banana leaves. We wrap our kenke in corn husk. We used to buy our wache in leaves. So what has changed? So that is what we should embrace. Now, what should companies do? For industry, because it's on production, on imports, that is what the ban covers. For industries, what should they do? This is a business opportunity that they should grab with both hands and legs if it is possible. Because the demand for the styrofoam product is not going away. It's just the input material that we are looking for. So they should begin to think about technology that they have to change. They should begin to look at the alternatives that are there and how they can also incorporate them into their system, do their audits, make their business plans. Come on. Because if the ban kicks in, the cost of doing business is going to be higher for you because you are going to be paying fines as well. And then for individuals, we'll have to look at the change in our lifestyles and what our demands are for these products that are not sustainable, because it's our health, it's our environment, and it's the future of our children and their children that we are talking about.
Thank you so much. We shall take questions a bit later from the audience. So thank you for passing the microphone. Joanna, so let's put this together. Environmental compliance and environmental assessments and audits. What do they really mean, and why is it important for us as a public?
Thank you, MFA, and good evening, our viewers. Development cannot be avoided. Alongside development comes the responsibility of ensuring that the air we breathe is safe to breathe, that the water we are drinking is safe to drink. So we have to use environmental compliance, which is a system that holds development accountable to people and the planet. So we have to do assessments. EPA has to give you permits for all development projects. So when we give you the permits, we want you to ensure that you can evaluate and predict what the risks are, environmental risk, social risk, cultural risk, and all the risks that matter, and then you give mitigation measures. Now, when we give you the permits, the problem doesn't stop there. What we need you to do during your operations is to make sure that you comply by the permits that has been given to you in accordance with the laws and the permit conditions that you were given when you were given the permits. Then, what we do in reality is that we come and audit. Now, the audit is like a checkup that EPA does for existing companies. We have to check and see that everything that you are supposed to comply with is being complied with. And if there are mistakes and there are problems, we'll be able to see them. And the audit helps us identify the issues that are there. Then you can have corrective and preventive approaches to tackling all those issues. And we expect that proponents, developers, the public alike would be able to see what the problems are and the challenges that they face, and they get them corrected.
The audits, are they daily, weekly, monthly, or they're surprises?
The audits are daily, basically, but the monitoring and the reporting, some do it weekly, some do it monthly, some do it biannually, depending on the sector that we are looking at and the impact it is going to have on the environment and public health.
How would a business know that this is an auditor or an EPA person coming to audit their business?
Okay, so usually EPA would come and would identify themselves after you have given us your monitoring returns, and then we come to verify what you have given to us. Sometimes, if we believe that the monitoring returns you gave us are not good, we will come back for samples, take a sample and split. You would go and analyze your sample, and the EPA will also analyze the sample to make sure that you are being compliant and that the pollution control system that you actually put in place is working and the environment is being protected as well as public health.
All right, thank you so much, Andrina. I'm going to skip the gentleman and go to Veronica. Why? Because I've been engaging with Mr. Lumitu since yesterday. So I'll just go to Veronica. Because not a lot of people know that the environmental laws. I dare say that if I search the Constitution itself, it's not very friendly to environmental laws unless other acts that have been provided. So let's know some of the key environmental laws and regulations that the Ghanaian people must know about.
Thank you very much, MFA, and all protocols duly observed. Good evening to our listeners. So there are a number of environmental laws starting from the Constitution. In fact, Article 41K makes it a duty of every citizen to protect and safeguard the environment. So as you hear EPA saying, protecting the environment is our collective responsibility. And we have our main environment protection legislation, which you heard our CEO spoke about, our Deputy CEO also spoke about at length. That's the Environmental Protection Act 2025, Act 1124. And Act 1124 is basically in 6 parts. The first part establishes the authority, and the part 2 deals with pesticide control and management. So we have to make sure, especially our agrochemicals dealers, importers of pesticides, we have to make sure that our pesticides are registered and licensed, and its use complies with the acts and the regulations. So I'll put part 3 and 4 together. They deal with hazardous wastes and electrical and electronic waste together with the relevant legislative instruments that we have to support it. That's the hazardous waste. We have a classification, control, and management regulations. So Larry will speak at length on that. And the last parts of the Act 1124 deals with climate change. So that is what EPA uses as a focal point to implement Ghana's commitments under the UNFCCC, that's the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. And then the last part of the Act gives us our enforcement mandates. So you find the environmental protection inspectors with a number of enforcement powers to enforce our regulations and ensure that the environment is protected. We have a number of supporting regulations as well, in addition to the Act. And our Deputy CEO, Technical Services, spoke at length about the environmental assessment regulations. And then in addition to that, we have a number of others, about 4 others. We have one on hazardous waste, which I mentioned earlier. We have one on effluent management. We have one on air quality control. In fact, we actually have one on also petroleum, environmental protection of petroleum undertakings. Then the last 2 will be the ozone depleting substances. We have one that controls the imports and regulation of some prohibited ozone depleting substances. And then we have one that certifies the people who deal with air conditioning technicians and then service providers. So that's basically the various regulations that we have under the Act.
So if a citizen or a resident in a community identifies that, well, it looks like somebody is breaking the law, I'm not too sure, should they cover their face and come and report them to you? What's the incentive? Apart from helping save the world?
Ourselves. Yes, we should report environmental offenses that we come across. Go to any EPA office, go to the relevant metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies and go and report. And also, where you find an environmental crime is being committed, go to the relevant law enforcement agencies to report. Thank you.
Veronica, you are kind. Thank you so much. The lawyers, they speak calmly like this, though, but when you are caught up with the law, they are not this kind. Well, let me go to Mr. Larry Kote, because there was an area that had my attention when the CEO was speaking, electronic waste. And I would hear it quite slightly, but today I want to understand it more, what electronic waste is and what role the port control as well will be doing in there. I want to know exactly what will amount to an electronic waste.
So we don't expect somebody to actually burn a cable to actually recover the copper. No, that is a bad practice. If we go into recycling, all these cables that you see, we have methods that you can use which we call stripping, where you can take off the plastics and then get the pure copper or aluminium. And you can use the rubber for other products like pavement blocks and then also recover the metals. Now we are into a world of circular economy. E-waste is one of the fastest growing waste in the world because people are always trying to get new gadgets. I'm sure students always want to see the new phones and all that. But currently we are projected around 62 million globally. By 2030, we'll be going around 82 million. Meanwhile, the recycling rate is just over 20%. That means that we need to transition to a circular economy where we recover a lot of the materials so that we don't go into or aluminium to manufacture some of these things. So now we are talking about global initiative where we are using a lot of the metals in these gadgets, which we call the urban mining. So you don't necessarily have to go into the forest to mine again, but you can recover a lot of them aluminium, gold from these same materials. And that is what we are currently promoting.
So in very simple terms, if my electronic has come to the end of its use, I should do what?
So as you mentioned, currently we have drop-off points across the country.
Okay.
We are piloting with Melcom.
Okay.
Where if you're going to shop, all that we are saying is take your electronic gadgets. There's a container that we have designed where you can take your lamps, your mobile phones, your tablet, just drop it off. And then the recycling companies will come for it.
Okay.
Do proper dismantling, where we can separate the plastics from the motherboards. The motherboards are the ones that contain a lot of the metals, where we can recover them and use them in new industries. So that is what we are promoting. But I must also say that we have actually established or constructed state-of-the-art dismantling and collection centers in the northern sector, which is in Tamale, and then we have one in the eastern region in Nkronso. And if you go to Accra in Gayek, we have one of these facilities yet to be commissioned.
Okay.
Now we are planning one in the Ashanti region in Kodia. And this is a collaboration with the SMIDO, which is the Swami Magazine Industrial Organization, as part of the industrial park here in the Ashanti region.
Okay.
So we'll be having a lot of these areas where you can actually deposit some of these items, and you don't need to use crude methods to dispose of them.
Okay, that's quite refreshing to hear, so that people don't think that you have told us the problem, but we don't have a solution. But let's go to engineer. Engineer Michael Ali Sanders, Director for Mining. This one is very big. Mining is like, it's become almost a kakai, and almost like a thorn in the flesh of us Ghanaian, and even importantly, you, the EPA. Prof was just projecting how much we may need to restore the water bodies and all of that. A question came up on the AM show at some time, that when a company is giving a license and they mine, do they do reclamation? Do they know what they have to do before, during, and after? And if they don't do that, what happens to the environment and us as a people?
Okay, thank you, MFA, and good evening, everybody. Yes, with a regulated mine, a mine that we have permitted, they go to the process as per the requirements. Now, with them, reclamation is compulsory for whatever disturbed lands that they would disturb during mining. And even before they start, as part of the environmental assessment of the project, they would submit an environmental impact statement. And in it, there is the area where they would have to cost areas that they would disturb. And then they post a bond on that, a reclamation bond. And part of it, 20% of it is always in a cash component, which is in an escrow account in the name of the EPA and the mining company. And then the other 80% is in the bank guarantee, which is a security, form of security. If the mine doesn't use it, then the government through the EPA can use it to do the reclamation. And then we ensure that during mining, areas that are not needed would be rehabilitated. And so the real mines that we regulate, the big ones especially, the small ones, they do reclamation as and when land is available for reclamation. And so, like I told you, there is a reclamation that they post, which is a secret. If we can then use it to do the reclamation, and so that one is very covered. The major issue is with the illegal ones.
Yeah.
And that is where it becomes a big problem for us. In 2016, the estimate the Western region was like close to $1 billion to rehabilitate all the degraded areas. That is
how much again?
2016, $1 billion, $1 billion to reclaim all the degraded areas by illegal mining in the Western region. It thinks for now we think it will exceed that.
That's because that's 2016. Yes. It means that it could go a lot more higher than that now.
Now, I mean, mining, as Ghana is a mining country, and that's why we're called Gold Coast. Because when the Portuguese came, they found gold along the coast of our shores. And so, we cannot say we will not mine, but mining should be done responsibly. Mining should be done in accordance with the international best practice, not the type that people do illegally. And so the large-scale mines and the ones that get permits, they do it according to best practice, and that one, those are the regulated ones. The critical one is the illegality. They don't want to spend money. They want to take the gold, and therefore they don't care about whatever happens to the environment, because rehabilitation is very, very expensive. And so we at the EPA ensure that mining companies do concurrent reclamation as they mine ahead, so that you don't wait until the end of the life of mine before you do your reclamation. It's going to be more expensive than that.
In simple terms, you can't even go into mining without having to come to the EPA. I hope you know this. Engineer, say it to them in 30 seconds.
Yes.
Like a warning.
You cannot start a mining project without an environmental permit. And like we normally say, if you have a permit, but you are operating at the wrong side, because our permit are site specific. So if you are being given a permit for location A, and you go and work at location B, even though you have a permit, you are illegal, because you are not working at the right location. So we would normally state that the permit is not transferable. You cannot use it in another area. And so if you don't have a permit, make sure that you have a permit if you have a mining license or mining lease before you can start your mining operations.
Engineer, trust Erastus Asari Donko. He'll do the report and we'll show it and you catch them, okay? All right, let's go to, finally, I'm pressed for time, but let me go to Mr. Lomoto. Mr. Lomoto, so people think that it's just mining and all of the things that we've heard about, but a lot of people as well settle in areas that they are not supposed to. Human settlement, what exactly is that? And what are some of the things that we do that threatens our own settlement in our lives?
So human settlement just is looking at the human ecosystem, where me and you, we need to interact with the environment. It calls for infrastructure, it calls for services. It even brings population, gender issues, and migration, because people move to such settlement. And planning is a key issue in these areas. This settlement needs to be planned. Residential areas, commercial areas, industrial areas, drains, and other utilities need to be planned in these areas. And it comes with waste generation. Waste management facilities need to be planned in this settlement, and public health issues come if waste is not managed very well in this settlement. And we are also at risk of disaster if things are not put in the right perspective. What result is disaster, where there are disease outbreaks, fire will be there, and vehicles or fire tenders cannot even move into those areas to quench those fires. So in all, human settlement is talking of human ecosystem, how we interact with the environment, how we settle our services, infrastructure within the built environment.
Well, thank you so much. I definitely would have had this conversation. I would love to have this conversation a lot longer. I had so much questions, but maybe I'll go and negotiate at some point for us to do this again. Thank you so much, Veronica. Thank you so much, Mr. Lumute. Thank you so much, Engineer Ali Sando. And thank you so much, Andrana Nelson Nakwaku as well. And thank you so much, Mr. Larry Koto. Thank you so much, Letitia Nyaba. Let's take this short message. When we come back, an open forum. We cannot come to Kumasi, have this conversation, and not allow you to ask the question. The CEO will take a seat again and take a few questions. Please stay.
It's a beautiful weekend. There's a lot to eat, drink, watch, and laugh about until
12 people confirmed dead and more than 38,000 displaced as the search continues for 7 missing persons 24 hours after Monday's downpour.
My family, my sisters, my church members, they are there. Please, we need your help. The Baptist rescue team. Please, we need the rescue team.
I have seen this too many times.
Madam Funi neba we 1 week akola omuni newu.
Jesus. We push shame.
All my things are gone.
Ago. Hey, what's happening? Do you know something? These things, when we throw them anywhere, they don't just disappear. They enter into our gutters, and this is what we get.
Truth is, my brother, at my factory, we started looking for better alternatives. It will not happen overnight. But businesses must be ready for the transition.
So, Grandpa, this little thing.
Yes, little things become big things when everybody does them.
The Ghana we want tomorrow is built by the choices we make today. Effective 1st January 2027, the Environmental Protection Authority, EPA, banned all expanded polystyrene products, including styrofoam takeaway packs and bowls, styrofoam ceiling tiles, styrofoam mattresses, styrofoam insulation bats, styrofoam packaging blocks, and bubble wraps. The EPA recommends better alternatives of food packaging like paper-based packaging, biodegradable leaf packaging, ceramic plates, and reusable containers. Protecting the environment, our collective responsibility.
The special ingredient was never the takeaway pack.
This campaign is powered by EPA.
Answer a few questions quickly before we wrap. I'll take the first question. Please tell me your name.
Emefa, thank you. My name is Nana Yalmensa Joel. I'm the morning show host of Kumasi based Oripa FM. The discussion mostly here this evening, following closely, has been on the ban. Because we reside in the central business district of Kumasi, Adum to be precise, after a float yesterday, most of the people came to our place, and then the question was, Nana Auntie, Sisi almost say, don't take away you. Ya crowd you mafia bruchaba. And Sisi almost say, ya do boyana. Don't you all think that the focus mostly should be on the alternative? What are we bringing? I think the CEO and the EPA should give us more and should be more focused on the alternative, which our people want to understand. Thank you.
Thank you. A very familiar question, Prof. Yeah.
All right.
We'll take the next question. Please tell me your name.
I'm Richmond Frimpong with EPA TV. And then I want to find out from Professor, as a researcher and scientist, we believe in data, scientific data. In your candid opinion, what data on takeaways account for flood or natural disasters in Ghana that warrants an immediate ban? And which company is behind this whole agenda? And are they in a position to meet the growing demand for takeaway, the replacement?
Thank you. My name is Kwame Ajay from AB and Angel FM. My question is related to the Oiripa guy. My mom is a watch seller, and one of my sisters is a kenke seller. So my question is anchored on their fears. To the ordinary kenke and watch seller, who says this ban will collapse their businesses, what are you telling them?
Right, thank you. I am Sir John Mafu. I work with Media General Kuma FM morning show host. My question has to do with the focus of the discussion. I heard more of e-waste. I would want to find out where EPA fits in terms of the management of other types of waste. I am asking this question because Kumasi, we have a dumping site which has generated a lot of issues in the region. So I would want to find out whether EPA is connected to the circular management of this waste in terms of solid waste and other waste, apart from what we've been focusing on with regards to e-waste. Thank you.
TV. Pacho mimi sase efi January se yehu se obide enema ye kan bi aba asotwe wo ho eye den das.
Prof.
Yeah, thank you very much. So there were about 3 questions all around styrofoam and the alternative. So what we are doing is, yes, we have data that shows that we have health impact, and you can experiment it yourself at home. Try and put hot milk in a styrofoam pack and see what you get. So the leaching of these microplastics into your food has health implication. And so that alone is good enough explanation to ban the styrofoam. The other one, which EPA is more concerned with, is the environmental issue, which, of course, you can see in the flood water flowing, the materials in there, the number of styrofoams you see in there, and including plastics anyway. So yes, we have data, we have research that shows, but we have also observed it ourselves. And if you ask of any company behind it, I would say there's no company behind this. This was announced by the President of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, last year during the World Environment Day, that this is harmful to our health, it's harmful to the environment. It's not biodegradable. On alternatives, yes, there are products in the market already. In fact, yesterday when we did engagement in KJTIA, we also did engagement in Accra, in Makwala. We saw that everyone selling the styrofoam packs also sell alternatives, actually. So we have paper-based, we have plastic-based alternatives, we have the aluminum foil that is recyclable that people can use. We have these alternatives from paper, bamboo, rice husks, coconut husks that people can use to produce these alternatives. Then let's ask ourselves, before takeaway became popular, we were eating. We were still buying from the watch sellers, buying from kenke sellers and all of that. So I know, also learning from other countries. Nigeria banned it. Businesses are still doing well. Food vendors are still doing well. So, Rwanda banned it. Tanzania did. Kenya did, including single-use plastics. So we are just at the first stage of styrofoam. I believe we'll be successful to move forward to the next stage of single-use plastic ban. I'll let Auntie talk about the e-waste part.
The alternatives as well. Alternative to e-waste. So the other waste they're talking about, why aren't we also focused?
Well, you're just watching the EPA's latest ban on styrofoam and its other related products. You're still watching Joy News here on your favorite Joy News channel, Joy News Prime here on your favorite news channel.
Indeed, and this is rolling out in January 2027.
Absolutely.
The reason why they're having the sensitization drive to enable
Kumasi
people actually move on to other alternatives. But let's do some headlines, shall we?
Absolutely. Well, the minority storms out as the Supreme Court's nominees go before the committee just 3 days after referral citing breaches of Parliament's standing orders.
Also coming up, no deal for Wontumi plea talks collapse in the 30 million Ghana cedis